Nation podcast. It is Wednesday, December 15th, and we have a lot to do today. Monday was a little bit of doom and gloom show. Wasn't the most fun, but we got a little emotional. We had a group therapy session for everybody. So today we are going to do a little preview of the Vikings Monday Night Football game, but we're going to do some other stuff too. We're going to do a little general overview, talk some records, talk some big picture stuff. And then we're also going to do some stuff that's not related to football at all. So that'll be cool. And when we get to that, we get to that. But we don't know when because we never use a script because that's how we're doing. Kevin Lapko with me as always. Kevin, how we doing?
Doing well, as you can see, back in the parents' basement with the Christmas lights. The infamous Christmas lights.
Fit now. At least they fit the actual time of year.
They look good, right? I mean, it's festive, it's holiday, it's holiday time. It feels right. It just feels right. But no, doing well, like you said, Jake. I mean, the people, it's hard. It's hard. It's a hard time of the year, right? It's hard to get you to listen to 45 minutes of content about a team that stinks. It's hard. We get it. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna have a little bit of fun and try to make it entertaining as possible.
I think this is
for you guys.
This is the worst record. Why, like the Bears? This is the worst the Bears have been since you've been on the show, right?
Yeah, because I joined. I didn't even.
You joined when Khalil Mack joined the Bears, right? The first year Khalil Mack was on the Bears.
It was even a little bit later than that. So it was
okay. Yeah. So your first
off season of that year.
So your first year was because
2019, right?
You were after the playoff year, right?
Yeah. So I was I was in the off season of 2018.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so this is we really got started, and after in the Khalil Mack year for me. So, that was the playoff year, the 12-4 year. Then we had 8-8 and 8-8 in the playoffs last year. And this is, at least last year, I'll compare it to this, and we'll get into this later because we're going to do some comparison stuff later as far as Bears recent seasons. But last year, at least, we had that big blow up episode where me, you, and Chris Nano, we went back and forth after the shellacking you took to the Green Bay Packers, where in retrospect, that was way worse than what just happened. At least in this game that just happened, you were competitive for a half. You were winning after a half. That game, you just got shellacked straight out of the gate, and it was, doom and gloom right away. And then you were still in the playoffs, as you tried to tell us. You were in the playoff picture more than you now you're in the hunt, but you're not getting anywhere. Last year, at least ended with a playoff spot. This year, you're just you're dead in the water already. So we understand. It's hard to want to care about this team right now, but that's why we're going to do some different stuff today, and play around a little bit, see what works, see what doesn't. Most things don't work with this podcast, but we persevere and we continue to go on. But first things first, we do have to handle news of the day. More people on the COVID list. The NFL is obviously dealing with a huge. Every league is. The NHL is dealing with one. The NBA is dealing with one. The NFL is dealing with a big one too. COVID is just all over the sports landscape. It sucks that we have to talk about in this, kind of scope of things. But the Bears today put Larry Borum on the COVID reserve list. He joins most notably Eddie Goldman among others. I don't know everybody else, but I know they mentioned that Larry Borum is fully vaccinated, so there's a chance he plays Monday. You have that extra day, but in the event that you don't have Larry Borum and Eddie Goldman, most notably, and who knows, you could get more guys. As the next couple of days go on, you could lose more guys potentially. It's already not. The Vikings have a lot to play for. Obviously, Devin Cook, Kirk Cousins, begrudgingly, I hate to say this, but he's been playing relatively well enough to get them some wins. But
he's 1 for 9 in his career on Monday Night Football.
Yes,
just remember that.
Kirk Cousins in general sucks. I agree, but the Vikings, they're fighting for a playoff spot. It already was looking like a game that you could lose. And if you're let's just start with Larry Borum. If he doesn't play. Elijah Wilkinson's also on. He's one of your top backup linemen. He's also on the COVID list. He's unvaccinated, I believe. So, if you're without
Alex
Larry
Barr's at right tackle and Tevin Jenkins at left tackle is what you would have to do.
So,
it's scary, and it would be. This would actually. It also depends on Jason Peters' health status. I don't know if he's been ruled out yet, because then you'll start to see a scenario where Jason Peters is at left tackle. And that switch from Tevin Jenkins from left tackle to right tackle is already happening. There was rumors of that after the first game already about potentially switching Jenkins and Borum in the offseason. Obviously, you don't want to really make that move in season. It's just kind of the wrong timing to do that. So that'd be interesting. But based off of the replay of Peter's injury on the broadcast, it kind of looked like a high ankle sprain that didn't look too good. So, yeah, you don't want to lose Larry Borom, but now it's like at least you have Jenkins there. If this was 2 weeks ago, you would be screwed because there is no depth there. Right. You'd have to pick up some guy off the practice. I mean, these guys are already picking up practice squad guys from the middle of nowhere. It's 7th round picks from 2020. So it's, I don't know. But it is interesting, as Scott says here in the chat, that Jenkins was most dominant at right tackle. So maybe this is sort of like some sort of blessing in disguise where you get him into that spot and see what he can do there versus left tackle.
Well, that's where you kind of have to start looking at silver linings, because Borom came in and played left tackle when Jason Peters went out in week 1. And he played pretty well, and he's done pretty well at right tackle. I think you have something there. Mm-hmm. The idea floated that Borom could also move to left tackle. As Scott said in the chat, Jenkins was great in college at right tackle. Maybe it is a silver lining. Maybe you get Peters and you get Jenkins at his right tackle. They, like you mentioned, Kevin, there were rumors that they might switch them in the offseason, maybe even in season, which would be a terrible idea. But maybe you get to see some of Jenkins. I mean, there were a couple plays. Obviously, Tevin Jenkins was put into a tough situation on Sunday night against a good Green Bay defense. First snaps, just, all right, you're getting extended snaps. Peters is out. Here you go. When he was supposed to be a rotational guy, had some bad plays where he just got eaten up, but that's to be expected. Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring that up. It's a kind of a silver lining. You get to fully see even more what you have in Jenkins. But it's not a good situation, and it's very bleak for the Bears if this continues to go down this very dark path of more guys. Like, if you lose, let's say, I mean, I'm not going to say Justin Fields, because obviously that would be brutal if Justin Fields goes on the COVID list. But if you continue to lose, like if Khalil Herbert goes on the COVID list, if, Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham go on the COVID list, let's say those two go on, and then Jesse James is your top tight end. Let's say Allen Robinson goes on the COVID list. Roquan Smith, Robert Quinn. Baller. Like, I mean, you got guys who you can't afford. Like, the Bears already have used, I believe, 35 or 36 players on defense this year alone. They use one more new player. They set a record. They eclipsed most players used on defense in a season, or for last year at least. Like, they continually top numbers. Like, they've used and it's most in the NFL, I believe, by far as well. Like you said, you're pulling guys off the street at this point, and it might get worse.
And this is what and I wouldn't be surprised if there are Minnesota guys who go on the list as well. I mean, the Browns put 17 guys on the list today. 17. Like, I don't know if it's Omicron. I don't know what's going on. If it's just, it's just spreading. But
granted, the drop from Baker Mayfield to Case Keenum is not nearly as steep as it is from Justin Fields to Andy Dalton and or Nick Foles.
But it's just
because those two, Case Keenum and Baker Mayfield, are essentially the same quarterback.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, they're different. Now, there's arguments on who's better and who might be
value-wise.
Team, and value-wise, you could be right. You could be right, and that's a different conversation for fans in Cleveland. But it is something to monitor, and it's worrisome, right? Because if you get a bull situation, obviously we're in the Chicago market, and if anybody we have a lot of listeners from all over the country and in the UK who probably don't give a shit about the Bulls, but the Bulls put 10 players on the COVID list like within a week. And
they had to postpone
not
games.
Only was it they had to postpone games. It was DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. It was Kobe. It was like the whole roster, all your impact players. Derek Jones. So I don't know if you're looking at a situation where a postponement is possible in the NFL. The numbers aren't high enough, and there's more depth in the NFL. And it's just it is concerning though, because it's totally out of control. And the scariest thing is it can happen Saturday night or Sunday night in this case before the game. Like, you have to get tested every day. You could go take that test Sunday night, find out Monday morning, hours before the game, that a key player is out. And it's like, oh shit, now this guy has to go play without any preparation the whole week, without mentally preparing himself to play. And it's so frustrating that we're having to talk about these things again, because this is more of a conversation about last year. And you figured at this point of the year, where we're at with the whole pandemic, that it would be over, but it's not. And now at this point, you just hope you're not losing guys at positions that are already thin. So that's why Larry Borom was a big hit, because that's a thin position group when you look at injuries and just the overall depth. If they lost a cornerback, I don't know what they would do. I mean, you're already picking up guys off the practice squad. Marquis Christian is out. He was injured. Xavier Crawford got injured from the Eddie Jackson play. You are literally talking about who at that position group. So you just got to kind of cross your fingers and get lucky. There's nothing else we can really say about it.
Yeah, I mean, and the Bears are in, quote unquote, the NFL's enhanced COVID protocols, which means they do like tests and everything every single day. So, right. I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, this could go either way. One thing, like on a personnel note, we haven't heard that Thomas Graham's been called up yet. Like they just signed someone who was on the Cowboys practice squad as a DB. Like
dumbfounding. It's dumbfounding.
Wild. It is.
This guy's a 6th round pick. This isn't an undrafted player. And even if it was an undrafted player, why not? I mean, but this guy's a 6th round pick. If anyone who has listened to this show pre-draft season, you knew, and specifically Chris Nana when he was on the show, his evaluation of Thomas Graham, very, very high on who he was because he opted out of his final year of college or either opted out or got injured. I think he opted out, didn't he?
I believe it was an opt-out.
I believe he opted out. And there was rumors and there was discussion that if he had not opted out, he would have been a top 3 round pick. And quite frankly, possibly a 2nd round, maybe 1st round pick. But he opted out. He let guys jump him. His draft stock fell. He falls into the lap of the Chicago Bears. And you're not giving him the opportunity. And this is what we've talked about for years now on this show. That has been consistent. I don't know if it's a coaching staff theme. I think it has to be. It's not giving guys like this an opportunity. Daz Newsome, all right, if Allen Robinson's giving you 2 receptions and 18 yards and you're 4-9, why is Daz Newsome not seeing the field? Maybe you can understand that in years prior, in these must-win games when you were in a clear position to make the playoffs, Riley Ridley wasn't worth it to experiment at that time. You are 4-9. You have every reason to put Thomas Graham out there, to put Daz Newsome out there and see what you can get out of these guys. And if I'm Ryan Pace, I'm literally in Matt Nagy's face saying, look, dude, you're gone, but I might still have a job with this organization. And if Thomas Graham Jr. and Daz Newsome show out in these final 4 games and show they have a little bit of potential, that bolsters his resume. He has to be in his face saying, look, Matt, you need to get these guys on the field. And the reason, and I need to know every single reason why them and others in the past 4 years of this organization have not gotten the same opportunities as other guys. It's dumbfounding and it's ridiculous.
I mean, it says a lot about Graham, I guess. I mean, they literally brought in Thacarius Keys or something. Like, he was a 7th round pick of the Chiefs last year.
We signed D Virgin.
Yeah.
D Virgin. All right. This guy, D Virgin, as funny as the name is, there's a joke in there somewhere. It's kind of hard to find, but
there's another one.
It is. This guy was signed by 4 different teams in like a span of 2 weeks. All right, and you're signing this guy. And
the thing is, the Bears protect
Thomas Graham Jr.
The thing is, the Bears protect Thomas Graham every week too.
Yeah,
like week, week to week. Okay. It's you get the Kevin Fishbain tweet. The Bears this week have protected so and so and so and so and so and so and Thomas Graham. It's weird. I don't get it. So I don't know. I mean, you're right. I hope we get to see those 2 because this is their chance. Like, you are severely depleted. This should be their chance to put something on tape. If not for this coaching staff, the next one, because we've all agreed there's going to be a next one following, come January, but it's very weird, very odd, but I don't know. We said we wouldn't talk about this stupid game the entire time. So we'll do just our basic handicapping of the game real quick at the top here and then get into other stuff. I mean, Kevin, what are you expecting for this game? I mean, it's hard to say with all the COVID stuff, but I mean, let's assume that you put no other people on COVID protocol in COVID protocols the rest of the week. Let's assume the team you have right now is what you get.
I mean, if I'm being entirely honest, like, losing Larry Borom and Eddie Goldman isn't like causing a dramatic shift in my evaluation of the game. It's not.
Just because you're assuming Jason Peters plays?
Well, no, I mean, just because the offensive line hasn't been stellar enough to where the drop off is significant enough for me. Like, and what you can do with Justin Fields on the run. And then on the defensive side, they've played without Eddie Goldman before. Right. They did it last year. Bilal Nichols, and maybe Akeem Hicks will play. I don't know. I mean, you never know. He probably won't, but it doesn't change too much for me when you lose like little guys like that versus if you lost a Roquan Smith or a Robert Quinn or a Dave Montgomery or a guy of that caliber. Now, what I'm expecting from this game is, to the pleasure of the NFL, the general NFL viewing audience, first of all, y'all are welcome that we actually put up a good game on Sunday Night Football. Most people were
half of a good game.
Okay, it was exciting. There were 75 points scored. Were you expecting 75 points scored? No one on earth was expecting a 75 points scored. Plus some really exciting touchdowns. Like 5 touchdowns, like 30 plus yards in the second quarter.
In the first half.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
We owed the NFL public an hour and a half of good football after what we've given them on primetime this year. Okay. That should be enough. They should be content with that. Okay. But what I'm saying is, on Monday night, the NFL viewing audience will get a 1-score football game. Want to know why? Because 12 of the 13 games this season have decided for the Vikings. 12 of the 13 Viking games this season have been decided by 1 possession, 8 points or less. Most in the NFL. 12 of their 13 games. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Like, this team lost to the Lions,
it was like,
but then they're beating good teams. It's like, makes no sense.
I saw something like the Vikings would be like 12-0 if they didn't allow any points in the final 2 minutes of either half.
Yeah.
That's insane. Absurd. That's nuts.
Like, it's absurd. Like, that is crazy. And like, to a certain extent, that stat is kind of like, kind of stretching it a little bit, but still, like, that's wild. Like, this is a solid team, but they're also very, very vulnerable. Like, and that's why you see them at 6 and 7. So you're gonna, in Chicago, this is important because Minnesota is 2 and 5 on the road. That makes a difference. We know how much better this team is at home, or maybe not how much better they are, but how much closer the games are and how much there's a legitimate chance for them to win in the final minutes. So I'm expecting a close game. That's probably going to be, and I'm going to go out of the box here and get away from the whole defensive battle, Sunday night or Monday night winter Chicago weather. No, screw that. This is going to be a shootout. You're going to see more of what you saw versus Lambeau, where I'm probably thinking like a 35-31 type deal, because the Vikings have a phenomenal offense. They're 3rd in the league in offensive yardage. So that's what I'm expecting. Close game, high scoring. Justin Fields show out. He did last time on Monday night. I think he'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a better game. Like, Justin Fields was fine on Sunday night. Obviously, we talked about on Monday how you kind of saw some regression from the time he missed with injury. Kind of has to get back into that rhythm we saw in Baltimore and in Pittsburgh. But no, I mean, I don't know if this will be a shootout because both these teams just suck. Like, this just might be like they're both okay. They're both aggressively mediocre at best. Like,
okay, sure.
It's not like
it's an equal chance of a shootout. It's like a defensive battle, though. You know,
I just think it'll be an ugly game. Like, I think the Bears lose this game. Like, especially like considering people you're missing. Like, Dalvin Cook's super, and like Dalvin Cook's shoulders hanging on by a thread, and he's still running for 150 plus, and breaking off long runs for touchdowns. Like, yeah, he's still a beast. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins stinks, but I think the Vikings, like, they actually have something to play for. This Bears team, like, they're beaten down, man. They just got nothing left. Like, it's bad. So, I mean, I think the Bears lose this game. We can move on after this and get into like some actual stuff that's kind of fun to talk about at least. But, like 20, I think the Bears lose this game like 28-24. Like, I think it'll be close, but I think it'll be ugly.
That's like a shootout in Bears terms, in Bears standards. That's a shootout. Okay.
I have a 10-1 to flip. Kevin, you can wax and wane to the audience for a second.
All right. So Jake's got to apparently flip a goddamn pork tenderloin. It shows you his damn commitment to this show. I don't know what he's doing. I was going to ask him, though, what percentage of what capacity percentage do you think Soldier Field will be at? 80%, 90%? Because at this point of the year, it's a primetime game Monday night. Yeah, it's Justin Fields, the rookie versus Kirk Cousins. It's not that enticing of an opponent. And I just don't know. Like, I'm worried because it's a gut punch. Anytime you turn on the TV and, they do their pregame Monday night countdown thing and they do a pan of the stadium and it's like half empty and you're like, damn, like that kind of hurts to see because it shows that the fans don't show out. The luxury is Bears fans are stupid and they're brainwashed. And if they have an excuse to go get drunk in the south lot of Soldier Field on Monday night, they will do it. They will 100% do it. I've seen it time and time again. I thought about getting tickets. I know friends who are going, who are still going to have a great time. And it's always fun to go to an NFL football game as Jake returns from flipping his pork tenderloin. Jake, I just posed the question, what is the capacity percentage at Soldier Field on Monday night?
Like, how full is it?
Yeah, how full is it?
See, here's the thing. I think a lot of people bought these tickets in advance. I mean, because you got to consider how far in advance people bought these tickets, or like how many people got these tickets for Christmas. Like you got to consider that too. Like, especially because I still think like considering your history in the last couple of years against the Vikings, and just like I mean, people still want to see Justin Fields. We talked a little bit about that on Monday.
There's an appeal.
People will still go to see Justin Fields in person. And, Monday Night Football, there's still appeal of that. And to go tailgate and stuff. Like, especially if you have you're not going to have people going by themselves. Like, it's going to be people in groups of 5 or 6 or, more even. So, and they'll be in the parking lot. They'll tailgate. And so it'll be like, I still think maybe like you could still go and have a good time at a Bears game. Like Shane was saying, when Shane was on here a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, I wasn't going to go in, but then like I was offered the tickets and they were so close and, it was a fun time to tailgate. So I went. Like, I think you have a lot of people like that. Like, right. Oh, I got these tickets for Christmas, or, oh, I got these tickets a couple months ago. And, oh, I have this group that I can go tailgate with 3 hours beforehand, So I think it'll be relatively full. I wouldn't say full capacity because, I mean, what's the weather supposed to be like too? Like, I think it's supposed 40 to be
degrees.
I think it's supposed to be relatively mild.
Not bad. Right?
Yeah,
it's not bad for
Monday. High of 42 and sunny, which I mean doesn't matter because it's Monday night. But so it's not going to be below freezing. It's not going to be crazy wind chill. So I think you'll have I think it'll be decently filled.
It's funny because talking about this kind of makes you realize something that has never been there for Bears fans, and it's just that simple appeal of having a guy who can just electrify a stadium, right? And I forget who we talked about. We talked about this with somebody. I forget who it was. One of our guests on the show, and I was talking about how I think it was Amin. It was Adam Amin. I said, "Who else have you seen that can like electrify a stadium like Justin Fields can?" And I think he brought up Lamar Jackson as one of the big ones. And like there is an appeal just for the hope when you enter that stadium that Justin Fields is going to do something so magical on that football field that it's worth your money. That'll do
something cool.
Like for all the people that went to the 49ers game, like they lost that game by 10, but seeing him make that one play that was one of the best plays of the NFL season is partially the reason why you're worth your money. And yeah, like you can get that occasionally from Khalil Mack on the defensive side or Robert Quinn, but the magnitude of it is much greater when it happens with your franchise quarterback and it starts flowing on the internet and you could say you were there. And those things are really special. And think about it, Jake, we've like been deprived of that as Bears fans in my lifetime. Like Walter Payton was that appeal in the past. Like Matt Forte was like kind of like that, like Brandon Marshall, also kind of, but it's different when you're the quarterback and you can make a Devin Hester. Damn, that is correct. But the thing about Devin Hester is like the chances of it happening.
He was on the field.
The amount, like he's gonna get a few opportunities per game, and he's not gonna take every one of them back. And it's like Justin Fields is on the field every single play on offense, so. There is an appeal to that, and it's just we've been deprived of that as Bears fans, but it's fun. You just notice the impacts of that, and I think when we talk about capacity, like that's part of the reason why I think the stadium will still be relatively full is because for years, no matter how bad they are, like people are going to go to watch the product that is Justin Fields, and hopefully the McCaskies understand that. And we've been talking about that for weeks on this show. Is that's your moneymaker, and you got to understand that. Make decisions based off of that.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. One last thing that I want to touch on before we get into some more kind of fun-ish conversation. There was a report today, Dan Wiederer, Chicago Tribune, that Ted Phillips has privately expressed that he's willing to or wanting to walk away from the football side or distance himself, I think was the word used, from the football side of the organization. If that's true, if that's true, granted, it adds another step for you once Matt Nagy and maybe Ryan Pace are fired. But what that leads you to then actually hiring a football person. Shane Reardon threw out Olin Kreutz as someone like that you would want. And we've heard a lot of names, but like a actual football person who has been around the game, whether they played or they've been in a front office or something, someone who knows football, who knows the ins and outs, who is not just there to be a face and is more concerned with the product on the field than what the numbers in the books are showing, and not like statistical books, like accounting numbers, like the financials.
Yes.
So if that's true, I mean, this is about 5 years too late, but better late than never. I mean, if that's true, this gives you, I mean, you're going to be riding into next season with more hope than you've had even this year with Justin Fields. Because if you go into next year
had ever
with second year of Justin Fields, a new head coach, let's assume Ryan Pace stays, and then a president of football ops, or let's say Ryan Pace gets promoted to president of football ops.
That's going to happen.
GM.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, I could see that. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people are conflicted on their feelings of Ryan Pace. Yes, he got up to get Justin Fields. Yes, he got Roquan Smith. Yes, he got Eddie Jackson in the 4th round. Yes, he's had some hits like Darnell Mooney and Jordan Howard in the mid rounds. There's also been the misses. Adam Shaheen. We're still not entirely sure what Cole Kmet is. Kevin White. There's big Mitch Trubisky, obviously being the big one. And then the hiring of Matt Nagy and, some other bungles here, the mismanagement, quote unquote, of the cap, what he kind of was, in a win now mode, whatever. I think if you put Ryan Pace in an even bigger position and he delegates accordingly to a new GM who then who then is in charge of the hiring of a new coach, I mean, that could go really well. That is I think I can trust Ryan Pace with big picture moves. I think I can do that. I don't know how you feel about that.
That is ideal for me because the guy is undeniably smart in certain areas. And the most important thing you have to remember is if the Bears do not sell the team, if the McCaskies do not sell the team, which I don't think is the most likely scenario when you're talking about all of the potential offseason scenarios, the firing of a head coach, the distancing of Ted Phillips from president of football operations, and the firing the sale of the team. Sale of the team is
way down there,
far lower on what is most realistically going to happen. And what you have to remember that many people who have come on the show, whether it's, I think, Jared Payton, Shane, I think even Jerry Azuma, who was on here, all resonated the fact that the McCaskies love Ryan Pace. They love him to death. And that's fine. You can love him to death. And if you promote him to president of football ops, a guy who's been in the league for a long time, who has helped identify this team and obviously has talent and will have positive input on how to acquire guys in free agency, how to make one of the biggest trades in NFL history for Khalil Mack, how to draft well in the rounds, and then you do a sort of Theo Epstein, Jed Hoyer type deal. You're looking at, I know Jake's a Cardinals fan, so he didn't like that reference.
I mean, no, they were undoubtedly good at their job in their time. That's objective. No, I mean, that's a good comp, especially in Chicago.
Yeah. Then that's ideal because it also gives you some peace of mind that there's not too much change, too much up and down, because as much as you mentioned the Ryan Pace misses, the hits are there, the structure of the roster to a certain standpoint has been good, the continuity, and I don't think that a lot of the sort of intangible things about this front office that we hate is derived from Ryan Pace, meaning, you hate the slogans of collaboration, you hate all the little things that they say and do. I don't think a lot of that, it's that anger doesn't come from Ryan Pace. It comes from either McCaskies, Ted Phillips, or Matt Nagy. When you think of the little things that are outside of the drafting of players or the management of the cap, how they handle press conferences and how they speak in front of the mic and all the different ways to handle operations. You're not as angry with Ryan Pace as you are with those other guys. And I think that's really important as far as people's desire to have him still in the building.
Yeah, I think Ryan Pace has a lot more good on his side than Matt Nagy does, obviously. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I would love it. I would love Ted Phillips moving into just the business side and that football side being given over to someone else. Ryan Pace, if Ryan Pace is more big picture and the day-to-day is given to a GM, I could get on board with that. I see the benefits of that. So we'll see what happens. That covers all of our game and big picture stuff. Something that I want to talk about with you, Kevin, because I talked about this a little bit with Joe Ostrowski today. He was up, he asked me, he said, did you know that Robert Quinn is really close to, passing Richard Dent for the Bears single season sack record? I said, actually, yes, I did, because I've been talking about this for a couple weeks with Kevin Lapka. And he said, would you be upset about it? Or how do you feel about it? I think that's what he said. He said, how do you feel about that? And I said, I don't it's cool, I guess. it's something to be positive about in this season that you've kind of started to spiral and there's not a lot of positive take. And Joe Ostrowski's argument was that he doesn't want someone like Robert Quinn to pass someone like Richard Dent, who was a Bears legend, and then Robert Quinn leaves town after next year or even maybe this year, and then he's forever in the Bears history books. My argument was, it's one record. Who cares? We wouldn't even. When was the last time we talked about it? They're not going to build a statue of Robert Quinn outside the stadium. It's like, it's going to be okay. Robert Quinn, 18 and a half or 19, whatever the number ends up being, because I think we're both of the mind that because he's 3 away from passing now or 3 away from tying now. And you're about to face Kirk Cousins twice, Daniel Jones. Russell Wilson, you're probably not going to sack that much. So you get Daniel Jones or Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm in one game, and then you get Kirk Cousins twice. I think Robert Quinn's probably going to get there. He'll at least tie. But and it made me think,
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Are people actually upset?
That is so stupid.
I want people whoever. We already had a couple comments. I want people in the comments, do you care if Robert Quinn, are you banging the table for Robert Quinn can't pass Richard Dent? It's a black mark on the Bears history books if Robert Quinn passes a Bears legend because it's just Robert Quinn. Who cares? It's cool. I don't really care that much.
No, you should. That is this. I'm sorry, Joe Ostrowski. He's your coworker. He's
I told him, I was like, I don't care. Why do you care?
That's the stupidest take I've heard in my entire life. It is that how are you not going to have an appreciation for the guy?
I get it for
he's the sole reason the Bears are relevant.
I get okay, Joe has been around the Bears far longer than we have. I get it. Sure, he grew up with Richard Dent maybe a little bit, but it's it's for the most part, it doesn't matter. It's a weird.
Get broken at some point.
I don't think it's stupid, but I just think it's a weird thing to be fixated on.
It is weird.
It's weird.
Are you going to be upset if Justin Fields breaks Jay Cutler's passing yards record? What the hell are we talking about?
Does Jay Cutler have the record?
Yeah, no shit, he has the record.
Does
Jake,
he really?
I have the.
Yeah,
you want me to pull it out here? I got the share screen. Here we go.
All right.
I'm Justin EP is out of the he's at the theater.
Kevin Lapka's EPing today.
I'm EPing today. Okay. So I was looking.
Oh yeah, everyone can see that. What the hell?
All right. Wait, can you see it?
It needs to be a little bigger.
All right. What about this? Is that zoomed in?
There you go. A little bit more.
Dude, it's not even close. It's 10,000 yards.
Oh my God. Wait, okay. This is all time. Okay. What's single season?
Oh, single season? Do they have that on here? Passing yards. I don't think they have that on this.
No, go see. It says career leaders. The bar next to it.
There you go.
Single season leaders. I'm assuming
Kramer 3,838. Obviously, everybody knows the Bears.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm really bad at controlling this.
Well, okay. So Jay Cutler, I kind of remember this. Yeah, 2014 when he was only a few yards away from breaking it. Mitch is up there for one. Jesus. Yeah. See, I think Joe's argument is that so Justin Fields would be Justin Fields we expect to be here for the next 10 years. I think we would celebrate that. I think his argument was, okay, Richard Dent, he was on the 85 team. He was a Bears legend. Got it. It's just Robert Quinn. He's going to be around for one more year at the most, maybe two. Right? Because how long was his contract? 5 years?
I think he's got, yeah.
So, regardless, Robert Quinn, you're not expecting him to be here for much longer. Maybe 1 or 2 years. Justin Fields, you're expecting. So I think there's a little bit of difference there. But your point stands. Your point still stands.
There's one player where his line of thinking applies to. Guess who that one player is in Bears history? There's one player where I would be on board with that. I would never actively root against a guy trying to break a record, but it would kind of be sort of it would pull at your heartstrings if he lost his record. One player, Jake. It's obvious.
One player if he lost his record?
Yeah.
Walter Payton, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only guy. That's the only guy, right? Just because of what he meant to the organization, the kind of person he was, and given obviously
everyone else is on the table.
Everyone else is on the table. I hope your record gets broken as soon as possible because I don't care. No, but it's just that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Root for the guy. Plus, there's a legitimate chance the guy could be an All-Pro. It's a terrible feeling when the All-Pro results come out and your team has 0. And they'll probably have 2, Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. But unless they pull a whole Fred Warner is better than Roquan Smith narrative again this year.
How many games has Roquan missed this year? Just 1?
Yeah, he hasn't missed many. So he's still eligible. And he's, I think, like 5th in the league in tackles. So he should make it. And Robert Quinn, if he breaks the Bears single season sack record, should make it because he has more sacks than Aaron Donald. He's got more sacks than a handful of other rushers that you would think. Now, back to these records, because this is kind of a fun thing here that we're doing. I want you to guess who in Chicago Bears history, among quarterbacks, is the leader in passer rating.
It's Mitch, right? It's your boy?
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
It is
brutal.
Mitch Trubisky, which is absurd. How 87.2. Here's the rating. How absurd is that?
Yeah,
that's crazy. But now, okay. So as I was looking through these records, I kind of started thinking. I was like, all right, which records are unbreakable in the Bears organization?
Oh, Jesus.
Now, for me, it was easy to obviously say punt returns, for touchdown, kick returns for touchdown. That will never be touched. Devin Hester is a Hall of Famer for a reason. Rushing yards and rushing touchdowns will never be touched by anyone else in this organization for a very, very long period of time.
If ever.
Other than that, can you think of anything else that's an unbreakable record? Because a lot of them are like more surprising than not breakable. Like, it's unfortunate Allen Robinson isn't going to break the receiver yards record because let's look at it. Where's receiving yards? Here it is. Because I think it's still, Johnny Morris. And Allen Robinson is Johnny Morris 5,059, Allen Robinson 3,504.
Jeez, 5,000 is the highest.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
It's astonishing. It's astonishing.
Yeah,
but that's a correlation between that and the quarterback, right? Like,
well, I guess the Bears also never really have receivers stick around for a long time. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Marshall here for 3 years, Alshon Jeffrey here for 4 years.
So
Walter Payton's 4th as a running back.
So you need someone who's going to stick around for like 5 or 6 years. And I mean, who knows? Maybe Darnell Mooney can be that with Justin Fields and they grow together. But who knows? One that I think could be broken would be the single season tackles record, because Roquan Smith is just, I mean, he's clearly just getting better. You probably have, I mean, I would say if, the next couple of years are going to be his best years, you would hope.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just everywhere. I mean, he's constantly double digit, tackles every game, it feels like. So I would hope that maybe Roquan Smith can get there, because he's how old now? I mean, you're going to give him a second contract for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's got to be.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith.
So, and I mean, the guy has 138 this year. 138.
Roquan Smith is 24. He'll be 25 in April.
He's 24.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right. So what's the single season record?
I can't find it on here. They're not. It's not showing me tag. It's showing me sacks. Yeah, you got it. Sorry, I'm no help. So now here's what you have to consider as well, as we're talking about Bears records and really NFL records going forward, as far as single season, is the fact that the 17th game, like, it's unfortunate because I think there's gonna be a lot of people who start to put an asterisk next to that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, this guy broke the record by 1 sack. Would he have gotten that 1 sack if there wasn't a 17th game? How legitimate is, the record?
Gonna hear a lot
and it's
of that.
Like, it's unfortunate. Like, you're going to hear a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that discourse once the season ends. And there's a lot of players around the league who are breaking, potentially league records as well, league records or just single season records for their franchises. And they're not going to get the full credit that people think they deserve just because the 17th game, people are like, oh, he's bailed out by there being a 17th game, So it's kind of unfortunate. True. But I mean, my take on that is like, sorry, like, that's just like the 17th game is going to be here for as long as we know. It might be soon before they put an 18th game. So you're just going to have to get used to that. And at some point it'll become normalized to where most of the record holders come from, seasons that have 17 games, and that won't be a conversation anymore. But I just know there's people who talk about that.
So I can't find single season tackles either, but the career tackles is 1,488. And Roquan Smith through 4 years is currently at 491. So he'd have to get 1,000 more tackles to break the record, essentially.
That's not crazy if they give him the extension.
Right. I mean, the fact that he's had over 100 every single year,
Who's in first?
Mike Singletary, 1,488. Right. So,
man,
and he played, and he was with the Bears for 11 years.
If the Bears give Roquan Smith the contract that he wants, and he's here until, let's say, he's 30, I think is fair. Is he going to be in Mike Singletary in, I don't know. I think Brian Urlacher is a tier above Mike Singletary in my opinion. I would agree with
that.
So I would say, is he in that Mike Singletary? Maybe. So there's Lance Briggs, then there's Mike Singletary, and I think in the middle is like Roquan Smith, more near Mike Singletary. Do you think he ever ends up there?
I think he can.
It's hard to estimate now.
Right. It's only, he's in his 4th year. So like, it's hard to estimate that right now, but I mean, it seems like he's going to easily set his own career mark for tackles. And because he's at 130 now, he set a career high with 139 last year. I mean,
unbelievable.
I think so. I think it's possible. Like the rate he's going, he's so fast, he doesn't get as many takeaways. But I mean, he's a really, really good guy. He's everywhere on the field. So I absolutely think Roquan Smith could be up there eventually.
I would agree. All right. Anything else unbreakable that you think is possible?
Because like you said, with the 17 games, I think eventually you go to 18 someday too. You figure that. Like, I think everything's going to be within reach, except something so specific like punt and kick returns. Like, that's just so hard to do in general.
Yeah, well, no, that's Devin Hester is one of a kind that's never going to get beaten. But one player who is extremely closer than anybody on the Bears to breaking any Bear record is, where is it? Pat O'Donnell, baby.
I should have thought of that.
He trails Brad Maynard here by a significant margin and punts inside the 20, but there's really no reason that Pat O'Donnell shouldn't be here for like 5 more years. He trails him by 87. But he's actually really close in a different punting stat. I think it's punt net average. His net average is 39.3, and Bobby Joe Green from 1962 was 42. Honestly, Pat O'Donnell's been playing really well. Like
the thing is, Pat O'Donnell's going to be 31 in February. So
yeah, but he'll probably play till he's 35. He's a damn punter. It doesn't matter, right? Like how old was Pat McAfee when he retired?
30.
Yeah, he retired young.
30. Yeah, he
make $120 million at FanDuel. So,
yeah, pretty good decision by him. But yeah, Jesus. I mean, all right. Last thing that I want to hit on before we close. This isn't even football related, but Kevin, a topic that has been sweeping the BetQL network over the last 24 hours or so on the show BetMGM Tonight with Ryan Horvath and Quentin Mayo. There was a topic that came up. And this was posed by You Better You Bet's Ken Barkley. What your preferred dipping sauce is? And this is taken, like we've discussed this on just about every show on the BetQL network. It's from BetMGM Tonight to BetQL Daily to You Better You Bet. This has been a topic for 24 hours. I'm not even kidding you. What is your preferred dipping sauce?
So I have multiple questions. Number one, how did this become the topic?
So Ken Barkley, who is on You Better You Bet, he's very smart, incredibly smart, incredibly smart, like knows sport, like he's very, very smart. He posed the question to Ryan Horvath and Quentin Mayo, and Ryan Horvath said plain yellow mustard he likes to dip his French fries in.
That's criminal activity.
Exactly. So that's why it's taken such a life, and that's why it's been so debated, because people have taken and wrote like yellow mustard, that's just atrocious. And then how many better dipping sauces or condiments there are for fries, let's say.
Oh, so this is for French fries only.
So let's go with fries first, but we can turn it into something further if we get there.
Okay. Honorable mention goes to a milkshake. If you've ever dipped fries in a milkshake,
we have heard that. That was an answer that I've heard a lot.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm a boring ass person because like
you're gonna say ketchup,
right?
Dude,
like what?
Come on,
dude. Like, what do you mean? Like, does that say? Do I have like no personality? Like, I have no character as a human because I chose ketchup.
Like, dude, I mean, think about the things like you could have picked Chick-fil-A sauce, ranch, various forms of barbecue sauce.
That much barbecue sauce. I'm taking
You could have done like a ranch and sriracha mix, which I think is up there. Like a sriracha, like sriracha, like that's a big one.
Okay. You know what? You're right. Okay, see, look at this. Look at this guy. I am Scocks in the chat. Catches the best. He knows what's up, man. He knows what's up.
Incorrect.
It's just there. If I'm trying to think about, I'm trying to really think about the special sauces, the unique sauces.
That's the thing.
My girlfriend really likes to do mayo.
You have to think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gross.
One of those people. There's always those people who are just addicted to mayo like that. It's actually not bad.
I know it's not bad, but like not even Chipotle mayo. Like if you go to a restaurant or something,
anyway. That's a great answer.
Thank
Chipotle
you.
Mayo is
so
good as hell.
My question now for that is, does she just put mayo on everything? Like, is she just a mayo?
Nah, she's not like crazy like that, but like she'll put mayo on like more things than the average person, but it's not like an everything thing. Like she just likes mayo more than the average person.
Sandwiches, burgers, like your run of the mill.
Well, no, dude, mayo on a burger is great. Like a turkey burger.
No, I agree. I'm
just
saying that like she just limits it to like your general things that you would think you put mayo on. Okay, I'll accept that.
Okay, so what was your answer?
So my answer was either like, I don't know if you know what Stubbs barbecue sauce is. Stubbs is a brand of barbecue sauce. They make great barbecue sauce. They make like a sweet heat barbecue sauce and like a spicy barbecue sauce. Both are incredible. And then I also said like Chick-fil-A sauce, incredible. But like a mixture of sriracha and ranch is just, talk about stuff you put on burgers or sandwiches, dip in fries. Tremendous. And so that was my answer as well. Like it's just, the ketchup's so boring, and ketchup is basically just sugar too.
Okay, what's wrong about sugar? I love sugar.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but like, come on, there's better options there. Oh, some people said just like wing sauce.
Okay,
like which I see, I can see the argument.
Like what?
Like just your regular buffalo sauce.
Like your regular, okay.
Or like some people said the ranch at the same ranch like cup that you dipped your wings in, so like the buffalo sauce mixed with the ranch a little bit. I think that's like kind of same vein as sriracha and ranch. Like I think that's a good move as well.
People are really thinking outside the box here. Now I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Was this the first time you've been asked this question? Because I feel like you just had like a prepared response when this question was raised. I didn't have a prepared
response, but it's something I've definitely been asked in the past. Like it's something that has definitely come up in my life before. Like I couldn't tell you when, but I know it's for sure come up before.
Right. It's a common question. Yeah. This might be a little glimpse of what the Bears Nation podcast community might be getting with Bears Nation podcast.
Bears Nation After Dark.
Which I guess we could tease a little bit. I don't know. I mean, we'll
Nothing wrong with the fries covered in mustard while it's packed with the hot. That's fair. When you get the little bit of fries with the hot dogs too, that's fair. I like that answer too.
The fries covered in mustard.
Like when you get the real question, like if you go to like a hot dog place, like not like your Portillo, like a hot dog place that just throws them in the brown bag with everything. Like that I like. That's a good answer too. But yeah, that was my silly kind of just off the wall topic.
I like that, right? I mean,
I think that's what we're going to start doing for episodes. We're going to find something like off the wall like that, and that's how we're going to end episodes. I'm making an executive.
I think we should.
I like that. And people can send in questions like that too. I like that. We're going to start doing that.
Send them in DM on Twitter, Instagram, email bearsnationpodcast@gmail.com. I never checked that thing. So
or DM either of us too. I'll take it all. Awesome.
Yeah,
that was good.
Personally.
That was good. We got to a new segment there. I like that. So I think that's a good foot to leave off on before we get to this dumbass game on Monday night. So that being said, this has been Bears Nation Podcast. For myself, Jake Hassan, for Kevin Lapka. Thank you guys for listening, for watching. We know this is a tough time to be a Bears fan, but we appreciate you all the same. We're still going to be here. We hope you guys keep coming around. We will see you on probably Tuesday because I have to go to bed early.
Yeah.
But Tuesday, we will see you for our recap episode, and then we'll be back for a Wednesday preview. But as always, thank you guys. And we know it's tough, but bear down.
Bear down.